right, you heard him. We are clear for takeoff because it is a new year, January 2024. We've got new and exciting topics to discuss together, Copilot and more. I know you've never heard of Copilot, so we're introducing it for the first time here, right? Just kidding. Welcome, everyone. This is the Power Platform Community Call for January 2024. Let's talk about what we're going to talk about. The agenda, we're going to talk about some community resources. We're going to have some new opportunities to discuss the samples. We're going to have group picture time with Together Mode. And then we've got three all-star presenters of the day. Fernando's going to talk about getting efficient reclassifications using Dataverse for Teams and Power BI. Ryan's here. He's going to give us some updates on tips and tricks for developing elegant, bougie, UI, UX, and Canvas apps. I'm super excited for that one. And then Heidi's going to round it out because let's face it, everybody, it's Copilot all the time right now. So she's bringing us some practical tips for Copilot readiness. First, let's talk about some resources that are available to each and every one of you. We have tons of community resources, one of which is community videos. This is by Microsoft and the community, so definitely check those out. We are constantly publishing new videos for your goodness to be able to consume and learn and work together and progress with the tech that we love. We've got collaboration opportunities, LinkedIn group for discussions and updates, so you can check that out. We also have open source resources and projects and initiatives. And did I mention galleries, sample galleries? I think I did, but I'm going to mention it again because we've got so many samples, and we're going to talk about them a little later with Kate, a new one to the call. So I'm excited for that. Now, you may think, oh my goodness, that's a lot of URLs, but don't worry. You don't got to remember all of them. Just one, aka.ms/community/home will give you access to each and every one of these things. So do not hesitate to utilize that URL. Share it with everyone. Tell your grandma about it. Everybody's going to benefit by it. So definitely take advantage. Now, last month, we had kind of, I don't know, we gave a little bit of a hint for someone that's going to be leaning in a little bit more on the community calls to help out. Who might that be? I think everybody figured it out by the silhouette, but let's welcome him. Shane Young is going to be officially joining in a co-hosting capacity. Shane, I don't know if anybody really knows who you are. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Well, is it really me that you want to hear about, or is it Buddy the dog there you want to hear about?
We love you both.
All right, fair enough. So hello, everyone. My name is Shane Young. I've been a Power Platform MVP since that was a thing, basically. I don't really know when it started. I was a SharePoint nerd before that. And generally, I just like to make YouTube videos. So, you know, if you've ever went out on the internet at all and searched for any type of video about Power Platform, you've probably found my dumb face. So I apologize for that. I asked for a nicer one, but my parents turned out, gave it to my sister. You know, she's pretty. I'm this ugly looking dude. It happens. So, but yeah, David asked me to join you guys, start hanging out on these calls. So I am going to start co-hosting these with David. I do not have the excitement and energy as he does, but I will do my best to provide fun pictures. And like before the call, we talked a lot about the animals and the creatures on my desk. So you just never know what terrible, non-valuable thing I might bring to the call.
Woo! It's going to be a wild ride. Thank you, Shane. And yeah, you started so long ago. By the looks of the youth of your face, you were like 12 when you started as an MVP. That's impressive. Impressive.
Yeah.
You got such
13. Now, 13's the age we go with.
All right. Excellent. We'll take it. Okay. Now, everybody, as you're watching this community call, you may think, these are some cool things that people are talking about. And you know what? I have some cool things to share. Shane, you've shared some cool things on the call. What's the request we've got for everybody?
Well, we want more people to hang out with us, right? We want people to come and present on these calls with us because really, you know, sharing is caring. No, well, I mean, sharing is caring, but I think it's really just important that, you know, everyone has a different background that comes to the Power Platform. Everyone's got a different journey they've gotten here, and we've all using it different ways. And really the only limiting thing from us doing more awesome things is knowing about more awesome ways to do it. So the more that you share, the more that we can help other people learn about the cool stuff they should be doing.
Absolutely. Thanks, Shane. Well put. And don't overthink it, everybody. Doesn't need to be a flux capacitor or what makes time travel possible. That doesn't even exist. So don't stress. Share what you love, share your passion, and we will embrace it and others will benefit by it. I promise, I guarantee you. And if not, I'll give you your money back. Fair?
Oh,
I think it's a deal.
All of it?
All of it, all of it, every last no cent that we pay for you to do that. So, all right, everybody, let's talk about some samples and badges. And did I mention another new one that's coming to the call? Let's welcome Kate. She's going to start updating us on Power Platform samples. Kate, take it away.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for warm welcome. I'm excited to be here. And I'm very excited to share that this week we have 3 new samples in our sample solution gallery, which is awesome. And these samples are from Shahir, Angela, and Olga. Guys and lady, your outstanding work is much appreciated. And let me briefly introduce these marvelous samples, just a few words. So the Shahir's Creator Kit template showcases a clear and modern interface. Its responsive design suits monitors of any size, and everything you need is conveniently in one place. So it's a great example, and just give it a try. The second sample is BeigerFX from Angela, is your go-to companion for business trips or even for vacations. It's a simple yet powerful application that helps you to easily convert currency. Just add a rate and everything you will have together with you. And last but not least, we have the timer component from Olga, and this is a very elegant and capable component that you can easily add to any of your Canvas app applications. Tied of the standard component control of timer in Canvas app, Olga has prepared an awesome solution to make the timer in your application look wonderful, amazing. And I personally plan to use this component in my different activities. So great work, guys and ladies. Thank you so much. And also, I would like to highlight that all samples that we have in our sample solution gallery are unmanaged, and you're free to use it, to customize it, and to inspire by them. And do not forget to share your latest work, because sharing is caring. Thank you so much.
Woo! Awesome. We love it, Kate. Thank you so much. Fantastic. She is banging the job out of the doors with handling all those PRs. So thank you for all the hard work there. You're going to hear from her more often, and we cannot be more excited. All right, let's talk about ways you could also get involved. If you're unfamiliar, Sharing is Caring is that program that we know everybody loves, and it's been a little dormant, but we're coming and bringing it back. We're getting those office hours started soon. Thank you for your patience so much. We promise it is not dead. It is coming back soon. Just trying to work out some of these logistics. But what is alive and well, absolutely, and thriving is the Community Recognition Program, and it is also back for 2024. Do not hesitate to opt in for this program. It is absolutely free. All you got to do is go to aka.ms/community/recognition. Give us your GitHub ID and your email address to be associated to those badges, and we will make sure that you are recognized. And it is a formal and official way to do that. So you can share them on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on your resume, on your blogs, everywhere. Send them to grandma. She loves them. But it is absolutely free, everybody. So get involved. We just hit over 1,000 officially registered. We'd love to push it even higher and recognize everyone for the amazing work that you're doing, because we are so grateful. All right, let's talk about some community shows and events that are coming up. We have our M365 conference coming up that's got a Power Platform and low-code track associated to it in Orlando in April and May. So definitely that's an exciting thing coming up. We've also got the reformatted TechCon 365 coming up in Seattle, DC, and Dallas this year. So it's another beloved community event. Definitely take advantage. And of course, we all know MPPC, right? We're all excited. That is back in September in Las Vegas. It was a wild ride, amazing experience back in 2023. So definitely get that on your calendar. Now, we've got lots of other amazing events coming up this year as well. You can list them on aka.ms/community days. It is absolutely free to do that. Get involved. We love to highlight and advocate for everyone that is doing the amazing hard work that is putting on events, everybody. So show some love, attend these, and support them. All right, well, what time is it? It is picture time. So if you'd like to crack on those cameras, I will get our Camtasia ready to go here. There we go. And we will go to together mode and hope that it works. Everybody is looking fantastic, so let's move that over here.
It better work. I brushed my hair just for this. This is the first time I've brushed my hair all week, people, so you look pretty.
You did, and oh boy, what is going on? Come on, teams, come on. We can do it. We can do it. Together mode. Let's try to go to large gallery, maybe.
Yeah, too many people in here.
Maybe. Well, that gallery is not too bad for not being a large gallery. I think everybody looks okay. We could get creative, right, let me just try to get them one more time. We're doing good on time, so we can be a little patient. Arg, arg, arg. Wah, wah, wah.
Copilot lighting up
Gallery
this week, right? It's just too many resources.
Gallery it is. All right, that's okay. We're gonna use this. So let us, and we're all seeing everybody in their natural habitat. All right, wave everybody. Show how amazing you are to the rest of the community. We really cannot say how much we appreciate you all attending. You are fantastically amazing. Really, really, really appreciate all that you're doing. So this is a great way to kind of show the fun that we have in these events. All right. Well, then it is time to get into the real meat and potatoes of the day, and that is with our presenters. So Fernando is here. He's going to kick us off. Get efficient reclassifications using Dataverse for Teams and Power BI. Fernando, take it on over.
Thank you very much, David. Let me share my screen and start presenting. You see my slides?
I see your desktop, actually. Maybe you need to switch the share.
One second, please. Right.
Yep, just swap your display settings there and you are ready to rock. Right there in the top middle where it says display settings, just go on up there and do swap. Perfect.
Great, thank you. Well, I'm going to talk about Dataverse for Teams in a real case scenario that I experienced, and I found it very interesting to share. So my name is Fernando Calero. I live in Puebla in Mexico. I'm originally from Mexico City. I'm an independent data analytics consultant. I was in finance and controlling, as many people in Power BI. And I'm actually more a Power BI kind of guy, but also Power Addict and Learning Fabric. And you have my contact there if you would like to get in touch with me. Well, what's the background of the project? There was a small group of people in a huge organization. Responsibilities nationwide in multiple locations. IT support access is costly and remote, hotline. I suppose some of you know that story. You cannot just walk to the IT department and talk to John. You have to grab the phone and call somewhere else. And that's complicated. Part of a bigger project. And they gave this group an Excel file with expenses, 3 years of history, and the goals. They had to understand the data, reclassify accounts, categories, or remove expenses that didn't belong to them, and summarize and report. And that has to be made fast. So how would you do it? Of course, Power Platform comes to mind. Starting from this, and that's the strange thing, that they were actually using this. And imagine the emails flying all over the world, the country or whatever, with the reclassifications. Well, first, let's build a Power BI report to understand the data. If you check this YouTube video from Patrick from GuianaCube, flat file to model, he explains very clearly how to modify an Excel file to put it in a model in Power BI. And also this video create custom keys is very helpful. And with the magic of the internet, we get the Power BI report here. And then it's a beautiful report. And as you can see, we have the total amount, the total number of purchase orders, and we have information by country, by brand. I didn't start. Submit. 1 second, please. Okay. So we are looking brand, supplier, country, and why did we use this transformation to create a model from the Excel file to be able to slice and dice these expenses. This is an actual Power BI report on PowerPoint, but sometimes it doesn't help a lot. And then you can see the detail, which is part of the Excel file, where we have some categories: the type, the country, store, brand, product, etc. The purchase order number, which is very important in this case, and the cost. So we go back, and then if we continue, what's the next step? Now we need to reclassify the expenses, but then how to do it? And what we are going to do is duplicate our semantic model in Dataverse for Teams. And for semantic model, I mean the expenses as a fact table and the dimensions as attributes that we talk about: suppliers, products, types, etc. Then we are going to build a Canvas app to reclassify the expenses. And finally, build a mirror report with the Dataverse for Teams tables as a data source. But before going to a demo, let's talk about the overview of Dataverse for Teams. It's no additional license required. If you have Microsoft 365, you have it. Enterprise security, which is very important compared with the Excel file that we just saw. Dataverse for Teams environment is the Microsoft Teams team name. It has support for 1 million rows, and it has 2 GB of database and file storage with no extension. But the good news is that you can upgrade to Dataverse. So let's switch then to a demo. Let me show you. Here you see my teams. And then we need to use Power Apps for Teams. If you don't have it, you can search for it. I already have it here. And then we open Power Apps in Teams. And then we go to Build. And you see here all the teams I have. And then here we have this team, for example, which is empty. Built by this team here, it's empty. And what we need to do is first, you can create here an app. But what we are going to do first is go here to this tab, Data Flows. And then with Data Flows, I didn't know this existed here. It's a little bit hidden. Let me do it again. I go to Power Apps, and I go to Build. And you choose the team. And here you have 3 tabs: built by this team, installed apps, and data flows. And here you can create a data flow, and it has the magic of Power Query. And then you can transform your Excel file. And this is just amazing. And here I'm going to make it very brief because it's not fast, but I'm going to show you some of the steps. And I'm going to show you the final product. So here you have the Excel file that I saved in OneDrive, for example. You click Transform, and then you have Power Query, and then you can start transforming this file. For example, you can start choosing columns and modifying and making aggregations and adding columns, indexes, and this is magic. When I found out, actually April made a video a couple of months or a year ago showing this. I was so excited because I used to be a Dataverse for Teams hater. I didn't like it, but this just came very useful for this business case. Then let me go to a full finished product. In this case, it's in another team. And then we have here some data flows already published and refreshed. And what do these data flows do? When you have already modified your source data, for example, here I have the Excel file with some modifications. And as you can see, it's a little bit slow. I have a column named type, and the different categories are normal, project, and extraordinary. So I selected this column and made some transformations, and I have here my table called type with these two columns. Then you click next, and as normal, now you can use Power Apps to load to a new table, and then you map here the columns and you publish it. I'm not going to do that now, but then when you do it, you have this data flow already created, your tables in data flow in Dataverse. Then you go back to build by this team and click below see all. And then what you see is all the tables that you created. And also then you can build your Canvas app using these Dataverse tables. I already did that, and what we are going to use is an app. We go to Teams that you publish in Teams, and the final product is this. You can click here and open in a new window, so it gets bigger. And so here you have the app, Canvas app, built with the Dataverse tables that you created with Dataverse for Teams. So next, what we are going to do is go back to the report. Let me open it in another window. And so the users are going to see this original report with their expenses. What they can do is just filter and go to a specific supplier, country, and what they can do is just check the purchase order, and they are going to see the detail. This purchase order, trying to use submit, but I can't. This purchase order, it says normal, and from this store and from this category, and they say we need to reclassify this. What they can do is just copy the purchase order, copy value, go back to the app, paste it here. Then they get the details of this purchase order. They have several options to reclassify. For example, here in the center, is this PO applicable for maintenance? If it's no, they just click here and then it's gone. Or they can edit and change the type, change it to project or other, or the brand. If they click here, they can search for another brand if that was the case. No? And then they choose, and the brand change it. Or for example, let me do it again and say this is not a normal expense, this is a project expense, successful, and then you see that it's project all over. And that's it. Well, and the last option is it's not applicable. Then you have to make a comment. Why is not applicable? Belongs to IT, not to our department. And then you click, and then it's gone. And what this app is doing is modifying Dataverse tables where the information is updated. Then we go back and build the mirror report in Power BI, connecting to those Dataverse tables. The way to connect is just very easy. You just have to, for example, go here, and then let me create a new data flow. Okay, and then view more. Our platform, Dataverse. And here we need the environment domain. So where do we get the environment domain? We need to go here, go back to Power Apps, go to Build, go to our team. Let's choose another team by now, but then you go to your team and go in this tab, About, and then you choose Session Details, then you choose Instance URL. Only this part, starting from org and ending in .com. Then you copy that. Then you paste it here. There you go. You click. Then you are connected to your Dataverse environment with all the tables. And then in this case, we have the tables here, which are type, supplier, store, and product. And that's how you grab your Dataverse tables and build your mirror Power BI report. Then you provide this to your users. And when they finish using the app in Teams, they just have to choose the reclassification report, which looks similar, identical, but it has the different data source. And that's it. That's how they could work together all over the country, in this case, in different locations, working at the same time, doing this job quickly, efficiently, with security. And that was an important part of the project. And it's just an experience that for me, it was a success, and I wanted to share it with you. And thank you very much. Let me just show one more slide, which is the architecture. So here we have the OneDrive where I stored Excel. Then in Teams, I used data flow to get Power Query to modify the Excel file and load the tables in Dataverse for Teams. Then I built this app in Teams. And originally, I used Power BI data flow to create the semantic model and the report. And in this report, we have those tabs or those pages, the original and the reclassified. And then this is how the summary, how it worked. And I hope you can see any chance that may be useful for you for another use case. And again, thank you very much. And thank you, David.
Awesome, Fernando. Thank you for sharing that end to end, and your timing is perfect. And everybody, this is Fernando's first demo on the community call with us here, so let's show him some extra love. Really great job. Thank you, Fernando, for stepping up and offering to present today. Really great content. So thank you. Speaking of another first timer, we got him all over the place today. Ryan Johnston is here. He's also a first timer on the call, so let's show him some love as well. And he's going to present on tips and tricks for developing elegant UI UX in Canvas apps. Ryan, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, David. And let me get my screen share up here. Make sure that we get all looking. Okay. Are we seeing everything as we expect?
Yes, it is loaded.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks so much for allowing me to present on the call. I've gotten so much from this community and grateful to get to share back just a little bit. I am from Dallas, Texas. My background was as a full stack web developer, front end and back end, and have fallen in love with Power Apps, and that's now my primary focus. And kind of as a front end and back end developer, I'm passionate about function and form. And so many Canvas apps come out with just out of the box controls and designs and looks. And there's, just sort of the certain look to a lot of Power Apps. And I've kind of taken the perspective that if a Power App looks like a Power App, then I've not done a great job with design. But so many of us do not come from a graphic design background, and so I wanted to offer just some tips and tricks to level up your Power Apps look. And I won't be able to cover everything I'd like to today, and so follow me on LinkedIn. I've posted a tutorial video just this week, and we'll have some more coming up on some more tips and tricks on leveling up your design. So we're going to hit like 3 elements today. The first one I'm going to mention is the use of the HTML text control. If you're not using the HTML text control, don't let it freak you out. Don't let it scare you. It's so powerful. And just to give you an example of that, I'm sure most of you realize this isn't just like a PowerPoint slide deck. It is actually a Canvas app. And you can see our lovely card here that behind it, everything is blurred out. It's semi-opaque. You've got this nice shadowed border around the edge. There's a really light white border, and everything blurs out just beautifully when it's on top of stuff. And this is created using the HTML text element and some custom CSS that you don't have to know CSS and a lot of HTML to use it. So let me just show you exactly how this works. We'll go back into our edit. We will make our text here disappear. And let's take a look here. This is our HTML text control. And we're in that the new version of that old version of the new designer that doesn't let us drag this to be larger. I just discovered a tip yesterday, by the way, that you can go in and change your authoring settings and get that back. So I'll be doing that straight away. Anyhow, we put a div inside of our HTML text and assign it a width that is the same as our HTML control. I'll explain why this is here in just a second. And then we come in and we add our CSS for this look, which is actually known as glass morphism. The guys over at Hype4 Academy sort of coined this term, and you don't have to know what any of this means. Just go to the glass morphism CSS generator. I think David's got the link for that. He'll put it somewhere, but you can just Google it, glass morphism, and you can drag around, create as much blur as you want. I love a blur setting of about 4. You can update your transparency, change your background color, get it exactly the way you want. So we're going to go 4.0 and 0.4, copy our CSS, come into our app, paste that in, and you're good to go. That will create this look with the rounded corners, the blur, the shadow, everything all done. The only thing that you'll have to do is if you look at our box shadow here, the largest shadow piece is 32 pixels. So we've got to leave a margin of 32 pixels on all sides to give us a nice symmetrical look and room for the shadow. So that's where we add our margin into the CSS. And because of that 32 pixel margin, the size of our div has to be reduced by 32 pixels on all sides. So we subtract 64 from the total width of our HTML text block, except the height is minus 65. I will help you to not bang your head against the wall like I did for a long time before I figured this out. If you have a height of a div that is exactly the height of your HTML text block, you're going to get a scroll bar for reasons unknown. Maybe Shane Young has the answers to this one. But the solution is simply to subtract a pixel from your height, and that scroll bar disappears. And so that's one use of the HTML text block. I'll show you that in use here in a production app that we'll use for our last 2 little tips and tricks. And that is if you click any of the buttons that give you a pop-up modal on this app, you'll see that the background blurs out nicely, and that's using the HTML text control as well with a nice blur in the background. So there's so many ways that you can use HTML text. The gradients that you see up here, that's HTML text, etc. But I want to go on now to talking about theming and color. So this is an app that I designed for a fleet it's a fleet management tool for a large church with like 40 or 50 vehicles that they have to get sorted out. And there are multiple apps for this organization, and we want them all to have the same colors and theming. And if the marketing department decides they want to change things up, we don't want to have to go into all of our apps and change every single one of their colors. And so what we've done is created a table. This is a SharePoint org. So we've created a table in SharePoint, do it in Dataverse, SQL, it doesn't matter. Just use an external data source where you put all of your colors. And so this is kind of my naming convention, lots of different ways to do it, but this is mine. And then put your color in another column. Now, I use text color, which uses the PowerFX function color value, but I would actually recommend putting comma separated RGB values in here so that you can, instead of using the color value function, which has no ability to control alpha, that is your transparency, that you can use the RGBA function, bring in this color to that function, and then you can also control your alpha values on the fly. I use hex, it's across all the apps. Live and learn, the next one I'll use RGBA. And by the way, you could also use this concept if you have icons or other things that are stored across multiple apps in your tenant. You could put it all in here, maybe create another column for type. And so you could have a type color, a type icon, and have your SVG data in here. It's a great tool for storing things externally. And then you just come into your app. I have it in OnStart. You could use environment variables for this too, by the way. There's plenty of ways to do it. And I import all of my colors into var colors, and then I can just reference them throughout the app. So here we've got this lovely gradient that again uses the HTML text element control, and we reference those colors, var primary, var secondary. You know, if I want to change that up, then it changes the colors right then and there. And of course, if you wanted to, you could easily do a find and replace and change all of it if you wanted to, but still have it reference those colors. The next thing I want to talk about is customizing input controls. So our out-of-the-box Power App controls for inputs are very square and boxy. They don't look great. And modern controls, man, they're coming along. And I've seen the stuff planned for 2024, but they're just not ready for prime time. So much that you can't control the properties for your font size and colors without using their baked-in themes throughout the whole app. So I still use the traditional control, but customize it. But I don't want to have to go through and customize every single one of these inputs. And so what I do is I will create a development screen here that has on it just this one item. And this is my text template control. I've named it text template field. And I do all the styling that I want on this control. You can see that my mouse, my hover changes for the hover fill color and the border color, the rounded corners. It's all there in this text template field. And then when I am on my screen where I've got my form, then I simply reference it throughout. So, here's my font, text template field.font, my font size, text template field.size, my color, text template field.color. You get the drift. And then we're able to apply that to all of our inputs. It's not a perfect solution because you have things like drop downs that don't have rounded corners. And you also have the chevron background and the color of the chevron that has to take place. In my case, I just had a couple of these and there's only one form on this page. So I went ahead and styled one of them and then made the other 5 or the other 4 of these reference this first one I created. But if you had a bunch of drop downs, well, then create a drop down template on your page. Associate it with everything you can with your root master text input, and then the things that need to be tweaked specifically for dropdowns, do that on that one. The concept is the same. Create one and then reference wherever you can. That's the tip there. And the last thing I want to talk about is just the general theming altogether. A lot of you may say, hey, yeah, this is easy to do. I can do that. But how did you know to do that? What made you think, okay, let's do rounded corners and this lovely little border around it? What made you decide to color the background the way you did where, the text input field is slightly darker gray than the white behind it? What made you think to do a rounded corner and these shadows and a little border and these colors? I'm not a graphic designer. I wouldn't have thought to do that. Do not dismay because there's so many great resources out there to help you. Icons, for example. I don't use the out-of-the-box icons. Well, where do you get icons? Well, here's a great tool, Sysfunction Metro Studio. I just got put onto this recently. It's totally free. Over 7,000 icons. And, for everything you can imagine, I'm typing in Wi-Fi, and here's all the
Brian, did you just lose audio? Let's see, somehow
I can't hear him either.
Yeah, it's funny. He just mentioned Wi-Fi, and we lost him. Oh, he's checking his device settings. Okay, he sees the problem.
which is good. It looked like he was powering through, right? He's just going to be like, hey.
Yeah.
Man, this is pretty amazing, though, right? Like, totally.
It's great stuff. Yeah. And
okay, I'm
Ryan,
switching.
Oh,
can you hear me?
Yep. You're back.
I don't know what's up with my headset, but I just switched to my webcam audio. So sorry, you're going to hear a little bit of a echo, but we're back. That's
okay.
So weird. Everything happens on one day, right? So sysfunction metro, yeah, Wi-Fi. Yeah. Don't type Wi-Fi. It'll break everything. So sysfunction metro is a great source for icons. But I will tell you what my favorite source for anything and all thing creative and inspiration is Envato Elements. Not a sponsor, but holy smokes, what a game changer. It's like less than $20 a month for a subscription and tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of resources that you can use for anything and everything, especially for Canvas app design. So let's go to icons here, and 43,000 packs of icons that you can download and use. Almost all of them will be available as SVGs. Find your style, find your concept, it's all there. But what about your overall Canvas app design? Folks, big game changer. And do not be afraid. Don't feel like you're selling yourself short by doing this. Like, this is brilliant stuff. Graphic templates, UX, UI kits. Here are 53,000 different graphic designers, professional designers, who you can go in and have a licensed access to use their UI UX kit. And let me give you a little tip here. Check this one out. This one looks strikingly familiar if you're taking a look at my Power App. In fact, this design right here is what I use as the sort of background and the inspiration for my design on this app. You've got, when you look at the table of reservations, look how we've got this gray background for our sorting bar and the way that this is designed. It's basically just a knockoff of this. And I say that very proudly. I didn't waste hours and hours and hours beating my head against the wall to try to design something that I'm not going to be great at doing. Find a design that works for you. Then you can mock it up in Figma. Figma for a single user is free to use. It's a great tool. Because I do have a background in graphic design, I'm a Photoshop guy. So this was my Photoshop mock-up that I created for both my tablet and then the mobile version as well. Mock that up. And then once you know what you want to create, then you can translate that into your Power App. And you can see that's what we ended up with for the desktop. And then there's our mobile design, because this is a responsive app, of course. And so that's that. So do not be afraid to use those resources that are available to you. So quick recap, couple of things to use. Use your HTML text blocks, CSS generators, your glass morphism, clay morphism, icons from Sysfunction Metro Studio, and my all-time favorite, Envato Elements. Mock things up. Oh, I didn't even have time to mention it, but look at, tell Microsoft Designer or ChatGPT to create a UI for you with all the specs you want. It does a great job. And then mock it up in Figma and Photoshop. Lots more to talk about. I'm going to go through, I did a whole thing on data validation that's on my LinkedIn. You can check out. And then I've also will be posting more about how to use SVG icons and import those so that you are able to customize that look as well. So thankful to everyone for your contribution to my success. Shane Young, so glad you're on the call, man. You are a rock star, and half of what I know is from your videos. So huge thanks, David. Thanks for all you're doing with the community. It's amazing. Back to you.
Ryan, excellent stuff. Shane, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was going to say, Ryan, you did such an amazing job. This is so beautiful. Like, I don't deserve any of the help of making you a Power Apper here, but just you stay, if you decide to come to YouTube, you did a really good job. You make sure you stay in your lane. I don't want you competing with me. That's great stuff. So good job, man.
It's all good, man. I don't have time for that. I let the pros take care of that. You the man.
First rule about collaborating with Shane Young: don't talk about Shane Young.
That's right. That's right.
All right. Yeah, Ryan, really great job. Excited for the SVG stuff. He kicked up nicely an opportunity there as I shamelessly plugged into the chat yesterday. Everybody, there is a demo tomorrow that I'm actually filling in for, setting up your environment for Power Platform UX UI animation. So tune in tomorrow to see that. It's not on the agenda because we added it last minute due to a cancellation. So that's going to be fun. A lot of great UI. I had the same path, Ryan, of I guess you could say graphic designer to developer. So really passionate about this. Great stuff. Thank you. Okay, well, it is time So take off with Copilot and Heidi Jordon. So she's going to give us some practical tips for readiness.
Yes, let me get my screen share up here. Let's hope, fingers crossed here. Oh man, let me try one more time. Let's present. Come on.
Remember, don't do PowerPoint live because the recording sometimes
Oh,
acts funny.
got it. Sorry.
So if you just share your screen.
All right, sorry, we'll do that. Let's go back to share. Alrighty. And I am sharing the wrong screen. I'm so sorry. Let me give you one more second here.
Wait, Heidi, you're awesome. This is worth the wait.
Everyone take a breath. Take a brain break. Share.
I can play some hold music while we're there you go. Looks great.
There we go. Alrighty. So let me just move this one. All right, so practical tips for Copilot readiness. So let's talk about Copilot. First of all, let me just introduce myself. So my name is Heidi Jordon. I am a business applications Microsoft MVP. I am a senior consultant for Avanade. I live in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Yes, it's been negative below zero here for weeks, so I'm ready for a tropical vacation sometime soon here. I tell everyone my tagline is the SharePoint girl living in a Power Platform world. Power Platform has changed my life, but SharePoint is really where my heart was in the beginning and how I got started into this amazing world. So there is my contact information on the screen. If you feel free to get in touch with me, I love to help people understand this stuff and just help them on their journey with Power Platform or anything in Microsoft in general. So I am sure that some of you are thinking like, oh, Copilot, like I'm burnt out on Copilot. So, and I am one of those people as well when it comes to new technology that like I will wait as long as I can until I have to. So that is my own fault, but I'm here to tell you today why you as a Power Platform person need to be paying attention to this and what you should be doing to get your organization ready and yourself ready for the changes that are happening. So that is kind of what we're here to do today. So again, why do I think this is beneficial? This really level sets everyone. Like M365 is for everyone. You know, it is not just about Power Platform here. We're not just learning about, you know, our standard day-to-day where we learn Power Platform and we build things for other people. Like Copilot is here to help you on your journey. So that is why it was such a mind shift for me I'm not learning this to use it for other people. I'm learning to use it to better myself. So that is what we're going to talk about today. And then also I have been using it currently at my job. So I'm going to talk about just another couple things, some of my favorite things that I've had great success with it thus far. So first of all, let's just take a look at, if you've heard of Copilot or Gen AI or anything, you're probably thinking about Enterprise Bing Chat. That is when you go to Microsoft Edge and then you click the little Copilot icon in the top right, this is the screen that will come up. So you'll see either the work search or the web search. So you'll kind of see the little chat bubble and then some of the suggestions there of what you can search for either on the web or for your organization. So that's the work search. And then at the top, you see there's a little toggle. If you flip that from work to web, that will marry the Bing Chat Enterprise AI engine with your work results and bring you some, you know, pretty powerful pieces of information, returning things because it's marrying the two capabilities together. So this is not what we're going to talk about today. I wanted to level set that. This search engine is not really what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is tips for using Microsoft 365 Copilot. So that is the one that is integrated into the apps that you use every day, the PowerPoint, the Outlook, the Excel, the Teams, you know, that little Copilot that's there. The other piece of the integrated apps is also that business chat. And that is what can leverage your calendar, your Teams chats, your documents, and bring everything together so that you can give it those conversational prompts and ask it things like, for example, I used it for, you know, find the SOW for this customer that was authored by this person. Like, so those are the things that I can't just put in a standard search bar in, you know, in my organizational browser and get that information back. So it's really the business chat is really leveraging that conversational with those extra details that can help you locate what you're looking for faster. So on that note, yeah, I'm sure that many of us, when we do bring out, let's go back to the SharePoint days, the number one complaint that people have in SharePoint is, I can't find anything. I can't find it. Copilot really introduces this new way of finding things by leveraging those key data points, the authored by this person and assigned to me. It can even, bring those things back. So really, Copilot with no other modifications can help bring those things back and alleviate some of those concerns of, I can't find anything. So next up, we're going to go into my 5 tips of getting your organization ready. So let's boil this down to the very basics. Number 1, you need to get your users ready and your products. So on the screen, I have some of the prerequisites. I did link at the bottom there too that has all the requisites that are posted out there. Users need to have an Entra ID account. So you need to have an AD account essentially to get started with Copilot. So make sure that your users have that. You also need to have Exchange Online or SharePoint Online. And you will also need that new Outlook. If you're not using the new Outlook, start looking at getting your users on that, because that's how you can use the Copilot that's integrated into Outlook. Also, users will need a OneDrive account. And then also they will need to be on the current channel or monthly enterprise channel for releases. So take a look at your M365 release schedule and make sure it's not on the semi-annual updates channel. There's a link there for those prerequisites. Next is really just kind of understand the licensing. This changes day by day, literally. It's because I made this presentation this weekend and it changed Monday. So I'm going to skip over this slide, but this one is just saying that these are the various licenses that you can tack Copilot onto. That you'll notice your standard E3, E5, business standard, business premium. That covers most of users in the enterprises. But announced Monday, if you haven't heard yet, that Microsoft is removing that 300 seat limit for Copilot. So now it's going to be available via Copilot Pro for small organizations and individual use. This is another reason why this affects everyone. Like, it used to be like, I don't need to know about that because there's a 300 seat minimum and my organization's never going to get it. But now it's available to you. So now you need to know about this. One thing I don't want to skip over is that going back to the very beginning, that Copilot chat, that Bing Enterprise chat, Microsoft Copilot, just the search engine that we were looking at, that is actually included in the E3 and E5 at no cost. So if you're not leveraging that, that would be a really good way to get started on this whole Gen AI and shift and get these tools in the hands of your users. But then the last piece there is that setup link. There is a setup link that you can actually just go into your tenant, paste that Microsoft Copilot setup link, and it will talk you through all of these things that I just did. The licensing, it'll actually connect into your admin center and see if you have the appropriate licensing and take you through a wizard to make sure that you're ready for setup. So tip number 3 is, does your organization have a Gen AI policy? Before you start using any of these tools, you've got to get ahead of the game and get some sort of policy in place. And some of the things that you can include in there are, maybe an acceptable use. Like, I think it's very confusing that, people are saying, don't put sensitive data into AI. We don't want it to get it out there to the world. But then we're bringing AI tools in and asking users to say, show me all the documents for X customer. That's technically sensitive data. So I think really, drawing those lines and clarifying what your users are supposed to be doing and what they're not supposed to be doing will help people out with that policy. And then also data protection, just helping users understand and alleviating that oversharing concern, that the data that you are using is from our tenant. If you're a guest in someone else's tenant, it's not going to include that information in your results. So just kind of clarifying where the data is coming from. And then also think about, non-compliance and violations. And if someone does violate that AI policy, what are the repercussions there? So then as soon as employees understand this, then they can really get started on okay, this is what I can do with it here. Now I can start to look at it and incorporate it into my work products. Tip number 4 is consider your source. One of the very most basic is put your things where Copilot can get to them, aka SharePoint. SharePoint Online, OneDrive, Teams, Exchange, those are the places that Copilot can get to. If you're still using SharePoint on-prem, now is a great time to consider SharePoint Online. So that is where Copilot can get to your documents and such. You really want to take a look at migrating if you haven't already. But then also with Copilot Studio, you can leverage other data sources, such as SAP and Workday. So just for the very basics, if you're not in SharePoint Online, get started moving your documents there. And then also consider, as with any model, this is garbage in, garbage out. Do your due diligence and review your documents. Make sure that there's no junk out there. Copilot is only as good as the information it has access to. And this also brings in that the trust but verify. So for example, I had a meeting with a customer and they had a question about, is Copilot accessible? So I wrote down the note, check check to see if Copilot is accessible, meaning Microsoft accessibility, disability, etc. And then ran a search later about, is it accessible? And it came back as the answer is yes, because it pulled it from my notes that I had written down. Copilot is accessible. So trust but verify. It's not always going to be the correct things that you're expecting from your queries and prompts. The biggest thing that I want to take away from this slide, though, is data labeling. If you're not doing data labeling right now, you need to think about it. You need to think about Purview and labeling your documents, because Copilot cannot access things that are certain labels. I don't know off the top of my head what it is. I think it's restricted or highly confidential or something like that, but you need to find those labels that you can label the documents that you don't want Copilot to bring back in the search results. And then also, the more you label your documents, the more you're going to get the more relevant responses for the prompts that you have. So really, you're going to make your model better by ensuring that the data is labeled properly. And then I know this sounds great, Heidi, but how do I don't know what Purview is. I don't even know where to start. Okay, so one of my pro tips is, if you want to learn about a new thing completely, Purview, SharePoint Syntax can do some of this for you. Go to one of those conference websites that was shown earlier. Go in there and look for some of the sessions and look for some of the speakers. So for example, Joanne Klein, another rock star in this community, she is the person I go to for Purview and data protection. She's definitely doing a session there, and I can see some of the topics that she's talking about. And then I know I'm going to follow her and I'm going to learn about Purview and data protection from her. So take a look at some of those speakers on those conference websites and some of those sessions to see, what should I be learning? Where should I start? What are the things that I need to be aware of? Last tip. So Copilot is a product. This is like, treat it like any other product. If you are going to roll out Power Apps, as most of you probably have, if you just go and you put it in the organization, you don't do anything with it, it's not going to be used. Copilot is the same way. Treat this like a product. It deserves training. It deserves a rollout. It deserves attention. But in that sense, do not reinvent the wheel. Go to the Microsoft adoption site there. I have a link, and there is a whole slew of resources out there. Everything from personas to prompt engineering to literally anything you want for training. Go out there and check it out on the Microsoft adoption website for Copilot. But if you want to build your own training, here's a couple high-level things that I think are necessary. There's technical training and contextual training. So technical is really just, what is AI, and then really talking about the prompts, the prompt engineering, understanding that there's those hallucinations. I didn't understand that you can do conversational context with Copilot. So you can say, like, for example, like, what are all the comedy movies in my collection? And it will give me a response, and I can say, okay, what about drama? So I can reference that question or that prompt that I did above and continue it going like a conversation. And then things like root prompts. You can say, like, from now on, make all my responses professional, or make all my responses comedic, or something like that. And then it will just maintain that through the whole session. And then just interaction patterns. This is another cool one where you can flip the script on Copilot. Like, you can say, I need to build like a user persona guide for a communications employee who's going through a SharePoint Online migration. Ask me questions until you have all the information you need to build the persona. And then it will ask you questions. So flip the script on it if you don't really know what you need out of the model. And then for contextual, getting them, meeting there in their onlyness, getting them those quick start guides to how do I actually get started with this in bite-sized pieces. So for example, I have in here for Copilot and Teams. So tell them where it's available. You can use Copilot in web, desktop, mobile, because there are differences in where you can access Copilot. What are some of the things you can do with it? I can summarize key meeting points. I can do decisions made, give them some of those sample things that they can do, give them some example prompts of how to get that information, but then also make them aware of the limitations. Like, for example, you need to have transcription on if you're going to be able to summarize meetings. So that's another thing for organizational readiness is, do you want to turn on transcription for your meetings? Do you want to educate your users how to turn it on or turn it off, etc.? And then last slide here, the bottom line here is that, Copilot is most successful with the people that are balancing risk and reward. So you need to get those use cases out there, those quick starter guides for people to actually start seeing some benefit. Otherwise, you're going to get buried in the, this is AI, this is scary, and then you're going to get stuck with legal and never even deploy it. So if you don't get ahead, this is here to stay. If you don't get ahead of AI and start training your users on how to use it, you're going to be investing in software that is seeing how other people are taking data outside to use AI tools elsewhere. This is the same thing with the SharePoint rollout. If you don't train people how to store their documents or share them properly, you're going to invest in monitoring software for Google Drive and Box, etc. So treat it like any other. But that is all I have for today. I see we're right at time. So thank you for listening about Copilot. And I hope that helps. Back to you.
Awesome, Heidi. Great stuff. Really fantastic. I know that that's beneficial because a lot of folks are just kind of wondering, where do I get started? How do I get moving on this stuff? So fantastic tips and reminders there. So thank you very, very much. All right, everybody, let's wrap this call up. Really appreciate all of our amazing presenters today, Fernando, Ryan, and Heidi. Again, Fernando and Ryan, first-time presenters. Awesome job. Really appreciate it. Everybody else, it's an opportunity. So definitely fill out that form. What resources are available to you? Well, we've got our community front door along with videos and samples, and our communities where you can ask questions and get help and collaborate, help others as well by answering questions. So we'll get all these links into the chat for you. And then, of course, if you like this call, we got plenty more. Our weekly Microsoft 365 Power Platform with Microsoft speakers is every Tuesday. Our monthly Power Platform, which you're on right now, of course, is on the third Wednesday of every month. Office add-ins, and then our bi-weekly Microsoft 365 and Power Platform development call and VV Connections SharePoint Framework. Again, that M365 and Power Platform community call is tomorrow. Again, plug on the UI UX environment setup for some Power Platform animations. You can get the links to all those at aka.ms/community/calls. We are like the cool kids, of course. We got our official Discord server, so definitely join that. We've hit over 1,000 in this server. It's a great kind of one-stop shop to be able to collaborate and communicate with the community in a fun way. Of course, you're all probably part of other Discord servers, so again, it brings it all together in one place, which makes it nice and convenient. And of course, we'd love to hear from you. How are these calls for you? Give us a rating if you already have and you told us good stuff. We appreciate it. If you haven't been a while and you want to tell us more great stuff, we appreciate it. Tell us what you might want to see improved. That's okay too. Just keep it positive. We share this with our management. Lets them know that you all value these calls and enjoy what we are bringing to the community. Our recording will be available in 24 hours on the Microsoft 365 Power Platform community YouTube. Don't try to download it from Teams. Definitely go subscribe because Teams will just end up in tears and sadness because you won't be able to download it unless you're a Microsoft employee. So aka.ms/community/video, subscribe. You'll be alerted as soon as it's available. Our next call, February 21st. And I think that's close to wrapping it up, except Shane, welcome to the call, my friend. And any parting words?
No, I mean, thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here on a regular basis. Fernando, Ryan, Heidi, all amazing work. I loved all of that. That's good stuff, and made me feel bad about the content that I create. I guess I should work harder. You guys, awesome job. The other thing I'll mention is if you're watching this on the recording, like the chat is awesome. Like joining these live and just being part of the chaos that is the chat, the pre-call, I just have this overwhelming sense of community just from sitting here for the last hour, learning some cool stuff, talking to some people in chat. There's a lot to be experienced here. So definitely come join if you can. And, I also promise to make David behave. So there you go.
We'll see about that. All right, everybody. Thank you, Shane. Thank you, Kate. Welcome to the call as well. We are excited for you providing all those amazing updates for the samples and the hard work that you put in. Everybody, have a great rest of your week, a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next month or tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for flying with us and have a pleasant day.
Bye. Bye-bye now. Bye. Bye-bye.